There are 7 different models in the latest Cannondale Synapse range, so this video is for everyone that wants to buy one but isn't quite sure which build they should go for. I'm going to share what I believe to be the best models by balancing specification with value. Let's start just by going over those 7 models. You have a Shimano 105 mechanical equipped build, and this one is called the Carbon 5. You have a Shimano 105 Di2 build, this is the Carbon 4. You have a SRAM rival build, this is the Carbon 3 Smart Sense. You have an Ultegra build, this is the Carbon 2. You have a SRAM Force build, and this is the Carbon 2 Smart Sense. And then you have another Ultegra build, but with a power meter, and this is the Carbon 1. And then finally, you have the SRAM Red build, and this is the range-topping Lab 71 build. I want to start with the third tier group sets first, that being the Carbon 5, 4 and 3. The difference between the Carbon 4 and Carbon 5 really boils down to the 105 Di2 group set that's found on the 4. If £4,000 is your budget and you are absolutely set on having a Synapse, then I would actually go for the 5 and then spend the rest of the money on a new set of wheels and tyres. You will have a much better bike to show for it, and you don't need to make the upgrade right away. You can save that for the future. You'd also then have a spare set of wheels as a backup. Between the Carbon 4 and the Carbon 3 Smart Sense, despite the extra cost, the Carbon 3 Smart Sense offers better value. For the extra price, you get a bang up-to-date group set, slightly better wheels, and of course the Smart Sense system, which gives you integrated lights and radar. In terms of bang for buck, I believe it does offer more of it. Moving up the range, the Carbon 2 Smart Sense offers better wheels compared to the Shimano-built Carbon 2. However, the improvements will be marginal. The Carbon DT Swiss wheels on the Carbon 2 have a 24mm internal width, which is in a similar ballpark to the reserves that are found on the Force build. Yes, the reserves are more refined. However, in the real world, the improvements in ride feel will be marginal. The SRAM Force group set is a big sell to me. It's incredibly good, and as suggested by the name, you do of course get that Smart Sense system. This is how that £1,250 price difference materialises between the two models. It is safe to say that we are now in the price bracket of nonsense. If you are considering spending this type of money, then it's an emotional purchase. What becomes interesting is when you start comparing the Carbon 2 Smart Sense with the Carbon 1. There's just £250 separating them, and you could argue that the Carbon 1 also competes with the Carbon 3. After all, they do have the same group set, but there's a number of things that differentiate the builds. The Carbon 1 comes with a high mod specification frame, one better than the standard carbon layup found on either of the Carbon 2s. Cannondale claims there's a 213 gram saving to be had between the two different layups across the frame and the fork. The Carbon 1 does also come with a 4i power meter that's mated to the Ultegra group set. The wheels are the same on both the Carbon 1 and the Carbon 2 Smart Sense. However, the tyres get an upgrade on the Carbon 1 to a pair of Vittoria Corsa Pro controls. And finally, the cockpit moves away from being a 2-piece setup to a 1-piece carbon cockpit. Which would I go for though? To be honest, I think I would go for that Ultegra Spec Carbon 2 and forego that Smart Sense system and the Force group set, and I'd miss out on the 1-piece cockpit on the Carbon 1. I'd settle for those marginally worse wheels and simply use the savings to eventually purchase a power meter and a fresh set of tyres to bring it closer to that of the Carbon 1. Yes, it will be heavier. However, I'm also just not convinced that the less than 1 kilo weight penalty will change the bike's characteristics enough to be noticeable. And also, the weights of the Synapse bikes across the range as a whole aren't at the pointy end of what we'd call lightweight. In fact, there's actually only a claimed 1.12 kilo weight difference from the £3,000 bike to the £13,000 bike. Speaking of that £13,000 bike, there is, of course, the Lab 71 model, and it's not really comparable with any of the other Synapse builds. Instead, it would be a case of comparing it to other flagship endurance bikes from other brands. There is something you should consider when thinking about buying a new bike with a Shimano Groupset, especially in 2025. Shimano has been rolling out a lot of new updates across its mountain bike and gravel Groupsets. We are talking fully wireless Groupsets with removable, rechargeable batteries, and that's just to name a few of those updates. Given that both Ultegra and Dura-Ace have been around for about 4 years now, based on usual product cycles, they are likely going to be updated before the end of the year. When you pair that with just how good the SRAM road Groupsets have become, it's worth deciding if you'd rather wait for the new Groupsets to land and hope they make it onto Synapse builds for 2026, or perhaps you may want to be tactical and predict that the current Shimano builds may go on sale later this year as retailers try and make a little bit of space. So, to sum up, if you want the Synapse for the best price, then of course, go for that Synapse 5. And if you fancy upgrading the wheels in the future, then you can relax in the knowledge that you'll have a better ride compared to the Carbon 4. If you're looking at that £4,000 to £5,000 mark though, then I think go for the Carbon 3 Smart Sense. I believe the extra cost does deliver a solid amount of value and it is nicely future-proofed. If though you're looking in the £6,000 to £7,000 region, then I would go for the Carbon 2. The wheels are still great, and with the purchase of some better tyres and a power meter, you're going to bring that bike much closer to the performance of the Carbon 1 without costing nearly as much. Let me know down below though, which one would you go for?